Hello, hello everyone. Jen here. Thank you for joining me today on our watercolor journey. Today we are going to work on some more gradients. We're also going to introduce some cool multimedia elements, acrylic pens, gold regular pens, gold Sharpies, and we're also going to work on creating depth as well. We're going to work on our rule of thirds, creating some mountains on this beautiful gradient scene. So I am happy to get started. Let's do this. Okay, so we are making 1/2 inch lines here. We're taking our 1/4 inch tape and we are just taping this off, following the lines. And we're going to do a gradient here from like a sunset. So we're going to start with a red, move to an orange and a yellow, end in light, a light yellow. And then we're going to practice our rule of thirds and create some mountain scenes that are going to kind of dip down. And that's why we're coming this far down in our card. And we're going to do a couple layers of that and then create, a sun or a moon and some stars, things like that. So I am right now just working on the color scheme, the color gradient. So I think I'm going to start with a light red, something like this, and I'm going to be working pretty much in this color palette right here. Browns, light reds, oranges, yellows, in order to create a gradient from top to bottom. So I'm not super sure. Let me see here. We're going to kind of be winging this together, I think. I'm going to start with the light red because I did like that color. Right here. We're going to start with that up here at the top. I have my card front adhered to, this is just pretty much the back of a pad of watercolor paper. And I want this one to be dark, but not too dark. So I'm trying to play with that and see if I can find a nice middle. And this is just an 8 round. Okay, that's a good place to start. And then I think I'm going to start to add in a touch of orange to this color. And I think I'm going to use, let me see what this scarlet looks like because it's kind of an orangey, this one here, it's kind of an orangey red. So I'm going to be mixing the light red with the scarlet to get a version of orange. And let me just see what that looks like first. That does look pretty. Okay, I think I'm going to go for it. Okay, that's pretty. Let's see, we're already kind of getting lighter, so I like that. And as we move down, we're going to change colors and change opacities, where it's going to get lighter in color and lighter in value. You can do this with any color scheme. I just wanted to do it with the sunset colors, but you can do this with a purple or blue. Just trying now to figure out color-wise how I wanted to go. Okay, I think I'm I'm gonna do maybe the scarlet with a touch of vermilion. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to dilute it a little bit as well. Okay, let's see here. Okay. All right, and then from there I'm going to introduce the yellows. So I like this yellow orange. Let's see where we are with that one. That's pretty. Okay, and again I'm going to dilute it a little bit. That's looking really pretty. Okay. Now we're going to do a little more on the yellow because we're going to basically go down to a really, really light yellow. So we're going to take more of our yellow orange and just kind of mix in some of that other color and dilute it some more. It's kind of, I love working with these, not limited color palettes, but harmonious color palettes, because you really can't go wrong when you just, you know, you're mixing all of the colors, and it just does half the work for you. Okay, I think I'm going to take that same color, let's see what it, and maybe I'll add a little bit more yellow, but still keep it very dilute. One of the good things about working in gradients like this and figuring out your colors and your brushes is that if you have a palette that you've created yourself with all different brands and different shades of colors, it's good to know like what's transparent. And I know it says it on the tube for you, but I like to do things more by trial and error. So like getting in there and figuring out like just how transparent it is. And those, when you're working like this in gradients, it kind of helps you to figure your colors out and to see where they stand with you. Okay, so I'm going to add in a little bit more of the yellow. Maybe take a little bit from here and just add some more water. Okay. That's a little too, that's kind of how I want the last layer to be, how dilute. So I'm gonna just put in, get a little bit more color in there. All right. Now I'm gonna add a lot of water. And I'm just working off the same color, so it's basically just this yellow orange that we have mixed with all these other colors and just diluted and working with that. Okay, let's take a look. That's lovely. Okay. All right. We are going to let this dry. And then we'll see how well our masking tape did because we might need to do a little bit of buffing out in between. So we shall see. All right, so I think we are pretty dry. We're still a little wet down here, but I don't think if we pull the tape off, I don't think it's going to mess with the color. So let's see how well we did. Oh, so far so good. Yay. Oh, amazing. Yay. Oh my gosh. I feel like it's my lucky day. Should play the lottery today. Amazing. Okay, so we are still a little wet. So I'm not going to worry about my pencil lines right now. I am just going to move on. This card would be so beautiful if you took it all the way down, and then you could do it landscape as well, and to create a beautiful, like a thank you or happy birthday. So this is a great technique to have in your arsenal because it could do so much for you. And this is kind of my go-to style when I am lacking creativity. And so I tend to lean more on using more tools like my pens, my tape, geometrical lines and shapes, because I get to still be creative with the colors and the movement and flow of the art, but this would just be done for me, you know, pretty much if I had taken it all the way down. So, all right, so now comes kind of the tricky part. I'm going to sketch this just because I want to make sure that I have it right. So I'm going to do a couple layers of mountains. I'm going to have them go, have the first one kind of start here and work our way down a little bit into here so we get to see some of that pretty yellow. And then we'll work kind of up to here like that. And then our second one, I think we're gonna do kind of have it be a little bit more on the jagged. Okay, something like that. Maybe this one we can kind of raise up a little like that. Okay. And now we need to worry about our colors. So I think I want to do kind of like a color like this, but I can't exactly remember. I think it's the light red kind of washed out. But I could also go yellow ochre. Maybe I can try raw sienna. Kind of orangey. See if we can add in be a little burnt umber. Maybe just burnt umber on its own. Maybe I can do that mixed with a little buff titanium. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm gonna do a little bit more burnt umber. Oh, I like that. Okay, let me see. I'm just gonna do a test and see how it would. kind of go over these colors. Okay, okay, it does those pretty well. Okay, and let's see, I'm gonna mix up a little bit more because you always need way more than you think. A little bit water, keep it flowing. It's amazing with a name like Watercolor. You think you know, but it just takes, the water doesn't always necessarily dilute it. It just helps it to flow, which is really nice. That's what we want. But sometimes when we get stuck on the colors, we don't want to add the water because we don't want to change the color. But they really do work best when you can add the water into it. I try and remember that. Okay, so this layer was going to be kind of our lower layer here. And my pencil line is just, you know, a guide for kind of where to stay in the lines, but if I wanted to change the landscape style, then I could do that. Make it more jagged or and the other color that we're going to add on top of this is going to be darker. So I'm not too, and we can see our line right here. So I'm not too terribly worried about making sure that we get it, you know, super perfect past that point. We probably don't even need to finish up with the paint, but I'm going to. Painting like this is sometimes my favorite part because it's just old school, like when we were kids, just painting, painting, painting. Okay, that looks awesome. Oh, I'm really liking how that color is working with the other colors. That's really pretty. Okay. So now I think I'm going to do the same burnt umber. Let me give it a little bit, another spritz. I'm just going to use the same bit here, even though it has the buff titanium in it, because I think now I'm going to add a little darker, like maybe some sepia or Van Dyke brown, you know, just to kind of, you know, give it a little less red. All right, I'm going to add a little bit of Van Dyke brown. I think that's what it is. Yep, Van Dyke brown, which I love Van Dyke brown. It's such a regular brown color, you know, just it's very, to me, it reminds me very much of trees. Okay. All right, I like that. I might dilute it just a tad. We'll see. All right, let me do. Yeah, I think that's a little bit dark, but I think that would just be splitting hairs. I don't really think it, I think it'll be just fine. Okay, so now if we can see our previous layer, we are going to kind of start here. And this layer I wanted to be more peaky, you know, kind of sharper. I probably should have waited for this to dry more, obviously, but I didn't even think about it. I thought, oh, well, it's dry, I guess. Okay. But I had a little bit more water in here because I was trying to spread the paint. So it probably didn't dry as fast. So we bled a little bit here, but that's okay. We can go back and fix that. Won't be a problem. Okay. Wow, that looks so cool. So we have some bleeds here and some bleeds here, but that's okay. We will go over that when it's dry, sharpen it up a little with a detail brush. All right, so we have a size 2 here, and I am going to attempt to fix these bleeds. We're still a little bit wet down here. But I am just going to round it up and around this. It's kind of good that it's still a little bit wet because we have to blend it. That looks good. And then I didn't notice this, but we have this little bit here. So I think I'm going to just kind of make it another little bump, a little mountain piece. And then we have this side over here. So we are going to, enlarge it a little bit. That looks great. Just sharpen it up, really. Okay. And then this section here got a little weird, so I'm just going to kind of sharpen it up too. And then this I want to be a little bit more, a little bit sharper because the others are. So I'm just going to take it up farther and bring it to a point. Okay. Okay. Just adding the detail. That looks great. I love that. All right, so when this dries, we are going to come in and add a moon or a sun here, along with some little circles, but they're going to mimic stars. All right, so I have just created this circle for my sun using this very cool circle stencil. I could probably use these for my stars too. I might check that out and see if I like that. Hold on to that. Okay, so I'm going to use my size 2. I'm going to diminish this pencil a little bit so I can barely see it. Really more so here on the white. Okay. And now I'm going to take my beautiful metallics that I use all the time. And this is the Goldest Gold. And I'm going to see how this works. Okay. I like to do the outside first, the outline. And it doesn't, just because I have a stencil, it doesn't always come out perfect because I'm still using a brush to outline it. And there's still plenty of room for error. Okay, and I'm going to fill it in with a really thick consistency because that red is very dark and I don't want anything coming through on this. So on these colored parts, I'm going to really make sure it's very thick. Okay. Do some more up here. Kind of see that red there along the edges. Okay, that's not perfect, but it's perfect enough that I know now not to mess with it, and we're just gonna leave it as that. And so I'm happy with that. We can always come back in with another layer if we want, but these metallic watercolors are very pigmented. So I don't think we'll need much more. Okay, now I'm gonna try, I'm gonna use my Uni-ball Signo in gold. And I'm going to warm it up first, warm up my pen first. Okay. Oh, that's great. That looks good. Okay. And now I'm going to just kind of move around. I don't want to worry about that. So I am just going to take this smallest circle, move it around. Oh, I'm so happy I saw this. I didn't even think about using these little circles for my stars. But it's working beautifully. Might wind up a little bit all over every place, but, and I do have to be careful because these are wet too. So moving around, it is going to take me a little longer. Let's see what I can get. This is the larger one, larger circle. We'll see if it's, yeah, it looks bigger. You can tell. Okay. Oh, yep, see, gotta still have to be a little careful. I think that's okay. I should have started in the middle, worked out. But I wasn't thinking about it. Yeah, with these bigger ones, to be careful when lifting off the page. Maybe do another big one here. There we go. Maybe if I can get away with one. Oh, darn it. I'm just gonna have to make those part of it. It's so hard to be random. Oh, I'm deciding whether to go further down. I think I'm going to stay up like it's the sky. So this is kind of the foreground and then this is the sky. So there's like there's a distinguishing between that. But that looks good for now. I'm really liking that. And I really love how the darkness is different here. And I probably should have played with that a little bit more, making like some striations for, you know, mountainscapes or things like that. But I really like how it turned out. It looks really pretty. The hardest part for me as a creator is getting inspired and coming up with my own designs. And so I really hope that this tutorial has left you inspired and motivates you to get out there and be creative. Because as we all know, it can be hard to do those things. So don't be afraid to let your art flag fly and make sure that you make today a great day. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.